चुका ही के। अपनी वात्सल्यमयी दृष्टि से हमारी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हो, तुम्हारी शरण में नहीं आ पाता। O my divine beloved, causelessly merciful Sri Krishna, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, having ignored you since time immemorial, I have been suffering. Committing sins lifetime after lifetime have made my mind so impure that even though your saints are telling me you're waiting for me with arms outstretched to embrace me, with a divine life to grace me, still I fail to surrender to you completely. All glories to Sri Kripaluji Maharaj, all glories to Sri Radhe Shyam, all glories unto all saints and sages, all glories unto the Devas, all glories unto all aspiring souls. Thank you for joining me. The qualities of the mind are goodness, passion, and ignorance. These three qualities are inherent in all of the material realms, from the Creator Brahma's abode down to the lowest worlds. All beings are saddled with these three qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance. All that's different is the degree of goodness, the degree of passion, and the degree of ignorance. Everyone has their own conch. Some are more evil-minded, some are more better in their mind, some have more passion, some have more ignorance, some have more goodness. That's all that's different. But these three qualities are in the earth, in the heavens, and in the hells. As long as we remain bound by these three qualities, we will desire material wealth, comforts, and luxuries. We need to transcend these three qualities. So, knowing that I am not the body, nor am I the five working organs, nor the five senses, nor am I the mind, nor am I the intellect, nor am I ego, but I am the soul, and everything else that I call mine are my servants. My mind should be my servant, but as long as I desire the world, I remain a servant of the mind. So as a soul, I am pleading, Ai nanda tanuj kinkaram patitam, mam vishami bhavam buddhau, kripai tava parapankaj tita duli shararusham vichintaya. O son of Nanda, my beloved Sri Krishna, I find myself in this material realm, and I know that this place is a place of suffering, birth, disease, old age, death. Suffering caused by imperfect senses, tendency to make mistakes, suffering caused by delusions, suffering caused by a cheating propensity. It's a world of cheaters and being cheated. There is suffering by birth, disease, old age, and death. So, my Lord, and I've become a slave of ego. I'm always competing with the Joneses, and a prisoner of my mind's desires. My Lord, in this condition, I'm very weak, but you're all powerful. I can't reach you, but you can certainly come to me. Be so kind. I'm just like a speck of dust under your lotus feet. So please pick me up and give me the grace of your divine love bliss. In this way, Sri Krishna advises Arjun, look, in 245 of the Gita, He says, Trigunya Vishaya Veda. Nistraigunyo Bhava Arjun. Nirdvanvo Nitya Shatvashto Niryogakshem Atmavan. The Vedas speak of these three qualities of the mind and their desires and the means of attaining such desires. You, Arjun, however, I am advising you to give up the means of attaining such desires and the desire to attain such desires, remaining everly equipoised in honor and dishonor. Do not be concerned with what there is to acquire, nor be concerned with the preservation of what is acquired. Always remain focused on attaining God realization, remaining in the mode of goodness, nitya sattvasto, remaining in the mode of goodness which is conducive to knowledge and the realization that you're not the mind and the desires of the world cannot satisfy you and I, the soul. The desires of this world cannot satisfy the soul. The desires of this world can only satisfy the body and the senses and the mind in a state of ignorance. But when the mind is enlightened, you can recognize that, no, my desire for happiness can only be satisfied by God. So, Atmavan, remaining in the fixed purpose of attaining God realization. In 1427 of the Gita, Sri Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratishtaihe aham. Amrita vyavyayasya cha sasvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya kantikasya cha. That I am the source of the all-pervading Brahman, the antimatter, the field of antimatter that supports all matter, gross and subtle. Scientists are looking for the origin of life, the cause of all causes. That is God. His energy is called Brahman. And this energy emanating from his divine form, his divine body, pervades and permeates everything. It's within and without of everything, even the subatomic particles like neutrinos. And the Lord, since it's antimatter, it's immortal. You and I are also immortal, like God. And God is also the source of the principles of righteous conduct, the eternal principles of righteous conduct. Sasvatasya cha dharmasya and sukasya kantikasya cha. He is also the source of bliss, ever increasing happiness. This is the definition of happiness. In the world, what we enjoy begins sweet and ends bitter. Real happiness will always be sweet and ever increasing, and it will leave you with the feeling of not wanting anything else. It will give complete satisfaction, whereas in the world we have attained so many things and yet we want, because the things of this world cannot satisfy you and I, the soul. Our subject is God, and only God has divine happiness to satisfy you and I, the soul. Mama amsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. All souls, Sri Krishna is saying in 15.7 of the Gita, all souls are my particles, my parts of myself, parts of that Brahman, and are all eternal. He goes on to say that in 15.15, Sarvasya chaharam hide sanivisto mataha smritir jnanam apo anam cha, that he not only we are fractions of Him, but He is the soul of the soul. Just like we are the soul residing in this body, God resides in us, the soul, in the form of Paramatma. He resides in us. And from Him comes memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. If we choose to forget God, God has to concede and accept. That's what we want. God is a facilitator. Whatever you want, He will do. If you want to forget Him, He will allow you to completely forget Him. And if you want to remember Him, which is where your benefit lies, because the more you remember God, the closer you will get to God. The closer you get to God, the sweeter your life will become. The more pleasure level your life will become. The less troublesome your life will become. Believe me, it's been my experience. I've run after the world and the comforts and luxuries of the world, and now I can see the difference between the futile hope of happiness from the world and the ever-increasing joy I get from a close walk with God. And I am hungry and greedy for more and more close walk with God because I've tasted the sweetness of God. God is happiness. Taste and see, God is really good. You see, the Lord is saying, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama. Vartamanu vartante manushaha parta sarvasyaha. In 4:11 of the Gita, Sri Krishna describes that however one approaches me with whatever relational feeling, to whatever extent or degree of such a feeling, of such a relationship, he reciprocates that. God is impartial to everyone. And however you approach Him, with whatever feeling, He reciprocates it. Some people even want to be His enemy, and He will reciprocate that. If you want to be His friend, He will reciprocate friendship. If you want to be His beloved, He will become your beloved. If you want to be His child, He will become your father. It's all up to us what kind of relationship we want with God, and to the extent of that relationship, it's all in our hands. If you draw near to God, God will draw near to you. He cannot do the initiation of the relationship. We will have to do that because He has given us free will. The freedom to choose to go to Him or not go to Him is in our hands. I tell you, my beloved aspiring souls, run to God. Abandon everything and run to God. Your desire for happiness, there is only one source. That's the beloved Lord Sri Krishna. The Lord establishes the fact that everywhere in this material world, mamupecha punarjanmad dhukalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsidin paramam gataha. Wherever in this material world there is birth and death, it's a temporary place. Like, you know, this body is temporary. All the material regions, all the 14 regions from Brahma's abode down, it's all temporary, and it's a place full of miseries because of the fact that there's birth, disease, old age, and death. Never mind if you become billionaire, you can't avoid the experience of birth, disease, old age, and death. You can't avoid mistakes. You can't avoid imperfect senses. You can't avoid lust, greed, anger, hate, malice, spite. These qualities, these negative qualities are inherent in the material sphere. Only in the divine Lord's kingdom that transcends the three qualities of the mind, one lives in a state of mind of pure goodness, divine goodness. Then you can never sin again. And therefore, you will never be separated from God. And therefore, you will never incur any consequence that is negative. So, the Lord is saying that However, those perfected souls who have attained the highest enlightenment, God realization, having come to me, they never return. Brahma bhuvanar loka punarvartino Arjun. Mamupetya tokunteya punajanma na vidyate. Bhagavad Gita 8:15, 8:16. That from up to the highest material heaven of our Creator Brahma, down to the lowest material world, everywhere in the material spheres. And there are countless of galaxies like our own, where there's a Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. There are countless of such places. Sri Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. He is the God of all gods. He is Avatari, the source of all avatars. So my dear beloved souls, from the highest planetary system, the highest heaven down to the lowest hell, these are all places where one is forced to return. Life here, there is temporary. Even though you live for millions of years in Brahma's abode, it's still a temporary place. All forms in the material realm are temporary. So the Lord is saying that, however, who comes to my abode, my divine abode, which transcends the material heavens. It's a divine realm where there's no need for sun and moon, where the earth itself is Chintamani. Everything there is in consciousness. And everyone lives forever in a youthful body, free of sin, among beautiful, kind people. So the qualities of actions comes from the qualities of thoughts inspired by the quality of mind that is dominant at a given moment. You know, our mind fluctuates in this world according to environment and stimuli. If you watch pornography, you will be lusty, and therefore your thoughts will be of sexual desire, greed for money, and wanting to go to the parties and sport and drink liquor, and so you can hustle the girls. That will be your thoughts. If you're in the church and maybe in a decent state of mind, you're in the mode of goodness, you'll be having a different quality of thought and a different kind of desire. You'll be desiring God. You'll be desiring decency. And if you're ready to fight and you want revenge, then you'll be in an evil state, wanting to hurt others. So the mind fluctuates according to the dominant quality of mind set you find yourself in. One needs to retain the mode of goodness. By proper association, this is possible. What we desire and think of depends on the quality of mind that is prominent, whether it's goodness, passion, or evil. These three qualities of mind are constantly moving according to association, environment, what we see, taste, touch, smell, feel, and also from the stored, from our sanchit karmas, from the countless lives we have lived. We have done good and evil deeds, and it's stored in our subconscious mind. And it becomes an impetus. It becomes a tendency for a certain taste for living, for certain desires, prompted by maybe when we see something, that desire which is inherent is then repeated. So my dear aspiring souls, know that you're not the mind, and the mind remains your enemy as long as you keep desiring the things of this world. The Lord says in 3:27 of the Gita that Prakriti kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvasyaha ahankar vimur atma karta aham iti manyate. that all actions are being performed by the three qualities of the mind, which comprises material nature. The fool, the soul, not knowing this, is a fool. If you don't know that you're different from your mind and you just run along with whatever desires flow in your mind, therefore you're a fool. You don't know you are the soul and that the mind should be used to love God and serve God, in which you really then will find true happiness. So you remain a fool as long as you're running after the prosperity and the property, luxuries and comforts and the wealth of this world. You're the biggest fool. You can be the highest educated person, but you're an educated fool as long as you're full of the desires of this world. So the fool, ahankar vimud, Vimuratma, the soul deluded by false pride, considers himself to be the doer. He then, while desiring, thinks it's me who want these things, and with the futile hope that whatever he wants will make him happy. Tatvavito mahabhavo. Guna karma vibhagyaho. Guna guneshu vartantaiti matvana sajate. In 3:28, the Lord says that, look, the one, however, who is in knowledge of the difference between himself, the soul, and the mind. I am the soul. I am not the mind. The mind is my servant. It should serve me and my purpose of attaining love for God, which will then satisfy my desire for happiness. But as long as I run after the desires of this world, the mind is acting against my benefit. So, the one who is in knowledge of this fact, he does not get attached to the desired objects of this world. In 13:29 of the Gita, Sri Krishna continues to emphasize that prakrita vacha kremanani karmani sarvasyaha yapashati tat atmanam akartaram sapashati. When one understands, when one sees that all actions are being performed by material nature, comprised of the three qualities of mind, and sees that ourselves, himself, the soul, is a non-doer. The soul don't want anything here. The soul wants God. But the mind and the intelligence is not equipped, is still in a state of ignorance. We don't know that it's God that where our benefit lies. So, the one who sees that all actions are being performed by the mind and understands that the soul is a non-doer, the soul don't want anything here, he truly sees. Gunabhyayaha kartaram yada drashtanupashate gunabhyascha paramveti madbhavam so digachate. When a person sees that these three moods, these three qualities, to be the only impetus, what is impelling us to act and desire the objects of this world, the comforts and luxuries, when a person sees that it's only the desires of his mind for the things of this world, and knows the difference where his real benefit lies, and knows the Lord, the Supreme Lord, to be where his benefit lies, then you can easily come to love the Lord, because wherever our interest is satisfied, that's where we get attached. Right now, the mind has of us believing, and our intellect, which is still ignorant of this fact that God is where our happiness lies, our intellect still considers that our benefit lies in the world. So the intellect is cooperating with the desires of the mind to run after the world. However, when our intellect have made a decision that no, our happiness is not in the world, it is in God, then we will come to know the Lord and become His devotee very easily. Udasino vad asino. Guner yo na vichalyate. Gunavartanta iti evam. Yo vastishtati ningate. Understanding that it is just the qualities of the mind that are engaged in their functions. You know, if a man is in goodness and his wife is in ignorance, you should be tolerant and forgive her. Oh, she's in a bad mood right now. Let me not try to reason with her. Let her mood change into goodness. Then in goodness, we both can sit down and solve this problem. We should not get angry when someone is angry. Then it means we're just as bad as they are. We should understand the ever-changing qualities of the mind so that we don't get caught in unnecessary anger and disturbances. So the one who sees that it's the modes only, the quality of mind only in changing according to stimuli, then he does not get perturbed and remains unconcerned with the flow of the changing modes. And again, he then can return to the mode of goodness, which is conducive to intelligence, reason, calmness, goodness, and peacefulness. So my dear aspiring souls, take note of this. You see, you have to be like the man. The Lord says in, this is chapter 14, verse 19, verse 23. Chapter 2, verse 70. The Lord says, be like this. Just as the ocean, apuryamanam achala pratishtam, samudaram apaha pravishanti yadvat. Tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve. Sashanti mapnoti. Na kama kami. Just like the ocean which is full, thousands of rivers flow into it and it remains the same, unperturbed. In the same way, all desires flow into the heart, into the mind of the man of wisdom. You can't help seeing and hearing, but so the desires will come. And he also remains peaceful, unperturbed, undisturbed, unmoved by these countless desires. But not the man who nurtures, who entertains such desires. He immediately accompanying the entertaining of a desire, the nurturing of a desire, is a loss of peace of mind. When will I get it? How will I get it? What will it cost? Where and who? Who is an obstacle in my fulfilling my desire? All of this takes away your peace of mind, and then it's a source of anger. It's a source of distress. This is where we suffer. Self-inflicted. Most of our suffering is self-inflicted because we have uncontrolled desires. So what is a recourse action? We have to turn to God knowing by reason that my happiness cannot be fulfilled through the desires of the world. Let me turn my mind completely to God, because as pointed out, God is happiness, God is love, God is everything that will satisfy me. The world is for the health of my body, to upkeep my body, which I then should use to attain love of God before I die. So the Lord is saying in 9:14 of the Gita, Satatam kirtayantuma yatantascha dridhavrataya namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. If one practices in this way, always chanting the Lord's names and glories, fixing the image of the Lord in the mind, bring Sri Krishna's form in the mind, and then chant his name and discuss his glories, enlightening one another. Both the speaker and the listener will benefit. always striving for God realization. How? With a firm determination, with a firm resolve, with an unshakable determination. Why? By reason the world is not where I will be happy. No limits of comforts and luxuries can make me happy. No limits of luxuries and comforts can satisfy. Only God can satisfy, because only God can bring peace of mind. Wealth and luxuries don't give you peace of mind. When you don't want, then you're peaceful. As soon as you want, restlessness begins. It's your experience. Just reflect, contemplate. So, with a firm resolve, such a one who strives to become God's devotee, my devotee, says Sri Krishna, with a single-minded resolve, he can attain love for God, which will then bring you an ever youthful body, a divine mind, where you will never be sinful again. You could never sin again. Imagine the freedom. And you will then enjoy perfect love, perfect happiness forever. Thank you for joining me. Please join next Sunday at the same time. You will hear Sri Kripaluji Maharaj, the true master of this age, discuss more clearly than I can ever do. I am just trying to repeat carefully what he has taught me. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.